Hi everyone, it's great to be here. I know it's a tough hour, but I hope to make it amazing. But before I can make it amazing for you, I would like to sense the audience. So please welcome me, but welcome me well. So good afternoon, everyone. Perfect. So, my name is Liraz Margalit. I'm a psychologist. I have a PhD in psychology. I'm specialized in decision-making processes and cognition. And over the past few years, I've been utilizing models from cognitive psychology, behavioral economics, and neuropsychology. And 3 years ago, actually, I founded my own company, my own market research company, actually an AI-based platform for consumer behavior research. And you will see some of the examples. But today, we are going to talk about behavioral design. And what is behavioral design? Behavioral design is a new and emerging research and field, actually. And the idea is that instead of just using the old classic methods of understanding your customers, you will design their behavior. You will make sure that they will purchase, they will spend time on your website, they will buy your services, and you are not going to ask them directly to do all of these things. You are going to design their behavior using psychology. But let's start from the beginning, and I would like to start with a question, and I would like you to tell me, what do you think? Are we in control of our behavior? What do you think? Yes, no? Who thinks yes? Raise your hands. Who thinks no? Okay, so I guess from the sense of my question, you figure that the answer is no. And you are right. We are not in control of our online or offline behavior, for that matter. Actually, 80% of our decisions and of our behavior are done with little or no conscious thought. I mean, you cannot begin to imagine the effect of cognitive biases, of our emotions, of environmental cues on the way we make decisions. And actually, most of our decisions are not done with our rational part of the brain. It is done with our body. It is done with our senses. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you a few examples. So, what factor actually influence our consumer buying behavior? I would like to start with the research that we have conducted in the States. And we did this research with real estate agents. And actually, what we looked at is what are the factors that influence people to come see an apartment at the second time. And actually, we monitor different factors. We look at the geographic location and at the size of the house. And we also even look at the people that were in the house. And after 6 months of research, we found that there is only one factor that will influence people to come and see an apartment at the second time. What is this factor? If there was a smell of an apple pie and cinnamon when they arrived to the house. But listen to this. When we actually ask people, we ask them, sir, is there a way that maybe the sense of the cinnamon affected your decision? Do you know what they told us? What they told us? No, of course not. We are a rational creature. This is not how we make decisions. If I make a certain decision, of course, I am based my decision on rational reasons. But this is only one factor. I'm going to show you another one. Apparently, when we played classical music in a restaurant, and not only in one place, we did it globally, all over the world. So when we played classical music, people order much more champagne. And again, we asked them, do you think that the classical music has something to do with the fact that you order a champagne? And of course, again, what was the answer? No. And when we spray from a can, we took a spray can and we sprayed the scent of a leather, people, no people, actually women, purchased 31% more shoes. So, how this mechanism works? I'm going to show you right now how this mechanism works. Please pay attention. I'm going to show you an image now, and I would like you to tell me as quickly as possible what is the facial expression that you see in that image. Are you ready? No, you're not. Are you ready? Okay. So what do you think? Anger, frustration, anything else? Okay. So some of you may say anger, some of you may say frustration, but we can all agree that we are talking about negative facial expression, right? How long did it take you to realize that? How long? It was very quick, it was almost automatic, and as a matter of fact, even if you try really, really hard, you cannot not detect this man's facial expression. Because this capability, we psychologists, we call it TOM, theory of mind, the ability to understand and infer other people's feelings, other people's emotions. Now I'm going to show you another image. And I would like you to not use your smartphone, please. And I would like you to multiply 17 by 24. But I don't have a lot of time, so please, anyone? Yes, 408. Very good. How long did it take you to realize that? So it wasn't very quickly. It was definitely not automatic. And as a matter of fact, from looking at you guys, most of you didn't even bother to try. So shame on you. But wait, I'm not here to test your mathematical abilities. I'm here to tell you that we have two different systems operating in our mind, System 1 and System 2. Now, System 1 is the automatic system. It is quick to make decisions and judgment. It does not require cognitive resources. However, although most times it leads us to the right answer, sometimes it fails. And when it fails, System 2 comes into place. System 2 comes into work. And System 2 is not automatic. Think about the math problem that I just gave you. And it is slower to make decisions and judgment. And while we use it, we cannot be involved in any other task at the same time. You know, when we asked our student to solve this math problem as they were climbing up the stairs. Do you know what happened to them? They stopped. Right. Why did they stop? Because you cannot be involved in more than one task, in more than one cognitive task. Now, not only do we have two different systems, those systems are controlled by different brain areas. So System 1, your automatic system, is controlled by our emotions. And do you know what is the purpose of our emotions? The purpose of our emotions is not to feel. It is not about fear or anger, not about any of these things that we like to believe. The emotional system, the purpose of it is triggering us into making an action. Meaning, if I'm in the woods facing a tiger, I don't have time to think, I don't have time to calculate my response. I have to act really, really fast, prepare my body to a fight or flight response, right? So this is the real purpose of our emotional system. And the other system, System 2 is controlled by higher level brain areas, by our prefrontal cortex, and that is why it is so slow to make decision and judgment. So if we think about your product, if you think about what type of system you want to engage, the rational or the emotional, you better off with the emotional system. But let me give you an example. I don't want you to just believe me. So I started my career after finishing my PhD degree at a startup, an Israeli startup called Clicktel. We are talking about behavioral analytics startup. And they actually developed a technology that enables us to detect users from the moment they enter the website till the moment they leave the website. We're able to understand what they see before they click on a certain call to action. And then I have to tell you, after finishing my psychology study, I thought that I'm going to be a psychotherapist. And then I got this amazing offer, but I didn't know anything about technology. So for the first 3 months at this company, I just read articles, professional and academic article about how people actually shop online. And if there is one thing that repeated in all the articles I actually read, is that if you want to sell online, because people cannot try on the item, they cannot feel the item, you should provide them with all this information in order to compensate them. They cannot try on the outfit, so you need to provide them as much content as possible. And then after 3 months, I got this call from a high-end brand that their headquarters are based in the States. And they told me, listen to me, Liraz. We have 2 types of users, of visitors come to the product page. One type of visitor, like they spend around 2-3 minutes, and then they are ready to go to the checkout process. The second type of visitors, they can spend an average of 20 minutes on the product page, and then they will leave. Can you actually look at this video session? Can you tell us what is their psychology? What is their decision-making process? So actually I looked. And before I will tell you what I saw, I would like to describe you the format of the product page. And if you think about this product page, at the top of the page, there is the product, an image of the product. Of course, you can choose size and color, but you see an image of the product. And if you scroll down the page, you will see all the information and all the text. And when I look at different users coming to this page, I saw a very, very strange behavioral pattern. I saw that people who didn't scroll down and were not exposed to all this product content and information, they actually were more likely to purchase. And users who did scroll down, their likelihood to purchase was very, very small. And it is strange. You know why it is strange? Because it is opposite from all I knew about how people shop online. So I told them, okay, let's conduct an A/B test and see what's going on. So as you can see here, we designed 2 different versions of the same product page. Trust me, they were the same size. It's just for the presentation. But do you see what's the difference between these 2 product pages? Do you have an idea? What's the difference, guys? The text, right. You see one version of the product page, we see all this information and review and content. And at the other version, there is no text, right? No description, no reviews. And we wanted to see what is going to work better. If what it says on the manual, on the articles, it says that you need to have all this content in order to purchase. But I saw the opposite. So after around 60 days, I decided to reveal the results of the A/B test. And they were amazing. Because as you can see here, when people were not exposed to all this content and information, they were much more likely to purchase. So what's going on? I will tell you what's going on. Let's go back to the 2 systems. Do you remember the 2 systems, System 1 and System 2? So I'm going to describe you a certain scenario, okay? After I finish working, when I don't have the power to do anything, I like to scroll down and to view different designer dresses, okay? Very expensive designer dresses. Now, if I'm going to start seeing all these designer dresses, and then I picture myself wearing these dresses, they are extremely expensive, but I like to dream, a girl likes to dream. What actually triggers my decision, the emotional or the rational process right now? What do you think? When I start viewing myself in those dresses, what triggers my decision process? Emotional or rational process? Emotional, of course. But then I suddenly see all these product details and information. I cannot overlook them. But in order to process this information, System 2 comes in to help. And when System 2 comes into the process, the whole purchasing process becomes much more complicated. And then all these questions suddenly pop up. Do I really need it? Did I make enough comparison? And then we decide to delay our decisions, right? So every decision that you and your customers make is always a conflict between irrational and emotional processes, right? Now, I'm going to actually right now talk about one more challenge that we have. Because usually, and I told you that I have a market research company, and usually when I work with business, they told me, you know what, Liraz, if you want to understand the customers, you just need to talk to them. You just need to ask them. But this is a very problematic assumption. We have the assumption that if we ask customers what they want, we will be able to design our products and services according to their wishes. But this assumption doesn't take into consideration customer psychology. Let me tell you about another experiment that we conducted. Actually, customers were scanned by an fMRI machine. And what does it do? Like, it is a brain scanner. And when you are put in this technology, we are able to see what type of brain areas are triggered when you make a certain decision. So let's say that I scan your brain, and I ask you, and I show you a certain product. I will be able to see if this certain product triggers your emotional or rational brain. So customers were shown with different products as part of the go-to-market strategy of this product. So we wanted to understand if we want to actually develop this product and market them. So the interesting finding was, it was amazing, I think. If a customer declares that he's going to purchase a certain product, but we didn't see an emotional activation in his brain, those products usually fails. And here you can see why it is so amazing. Because when we think rationally about a product, we can say, yeah, of course, I'm going to use this product. I'm going to buy this product. But actually, we purchase with our emotions, not with our rationality. And that is why I keep saying to the businesses that I work with that the most stupid question that they can ask, okay, if this product was on the market, would you buy it? Of course, they will tell you yes. But we need to actually understand their psychology. And that is the whole idea with behavioral design. Because the classic approach means that if you want to sell something, you should talk about the benefit, and you should talk about the product, and if people are rational creatures, they will purchase it. But behavioral design says something else. People are not rational. People are triggered by their emotional processes. So if you want to sell them, and if you want to market to them, you need to understand their cognitive biases. Let me give you an example. Are you familiar with this car? Guys, are you familiar with this car? No way. Okay, this is a Ferrari. And if you live in London, let's say that you live in London. If you live in London and you wish to get yourself a Ferrari, you have two options. Listen. The first option is to pay for the car and get it delivered to your house. This is the first option. But there is a second option, because Ferrari knew something about people's psychology. The second option is, again, to pay for this car, but then to add 500 euro. And then you can buy a ticket, you can fly to the Ferrari factory in Italy, you will get a panoramic tour in their factory, and then you can take your car, you can take your new Ferrari and drive all the way back home on your expense, of course. What do you think is a more rational option, the first or the second? The second, of course, of course. What would you do? Who would go to the Ferrari factory? Okay, guys, you are very rational. Yes, so if we want to actually make sure our customers will buy our product, we need to understand their psychology. This was one example. I'm going to show you another example. And the second example is called framing. And that means that even if what I'm going to sell is exactly the same, the message actually, how we message and how we communicate our messaging is going to affect people's behavior. So, let's say that you want to see a movie, okay? You feel like seeing a movie, and you purchase a ticket. The ticket to the movie is $20 bill. And then you arrive at the theater, and you find out that you lost the ticket. So the question is, are you going to pay another $20 for another ticket? Don't answer me. Think about it for 1 minute, and then erase it, and I'm going to tell you another story. Again, you like to see a movie, but now you're not going to purchase the ticket in advance. You arrive at the theater, and then you actually take out your wallet, and you find out that you lost a $20 bill. Now the question, would you buy the ticket? Do you understand the differences between the two scenarios? Okay. So now, before we'll continue, I would like to make sure that we all, in this room, that we all agree that from economic perspective, we are talking about the exact same problem. Are we all agree on that? Okay. Do you have anyone who doesn't agree? Okay. So, how come that in the first scenario, people are not willing to buy another ticket, and they feel very, very frustrated, and in the second scenario, they don't even care, and they don't give it another thought? What do you think? What's the difference? I will tell you what's the difference. We ask people, and apparently, in the first scenario, they feel that they actually paid double for the ticket. And in the second scenario, they feel it's a whole different thing. They don't care about the $20 bill because it is in another part of our brain. So if you had like an idea that people are rational, so you should know that they are not rational, and the way we communicate our messaging will affect people's behavior. Now I'm going to show you another research that is very, very conflictual right now. And this is the broad selection of options. Now, let's say that you want a competition. You want a competition, and you want a watch. Now you have two different options. You can choose a watch from a list of 3 different watches, or you can choose a watch from a list of 24 different options. What would you prefer? Who would take the 24 list? Who would take the 3? Okay, so maybe you're more rational than I thought. Okay, so now we are arriving at this very interesting phenomena called the paradox of choice. And most people, not only most, I think it was 92% of people actually would rather choose from a broad selection of options. But it is very problematic. And the most famous experiment that is done on this topic is the jam experiment. And a very, very famous grocery store in the States, actually, presented their customers with 2 different sampling stations. In one sampling station, there was 6 flavors of jam, and in the second sampling station, there were 24 flavors of jam. Of course, there was a long line behind the 24 flavors of jam. However, most people actually purchased from the 6 flavors of jam. Let's see. The availability of 6 options resulted in 30% of consumer purchasing at least 1 jar of jam. The availability of 24 flavors at a conversion rate of only 3%. So we see that human cognitive ability actually cannot efficiently compare more than 5 options. So we start looking, and then we avoid making decisions. And we wanted to understand if there is a certain personality traits for people who are having a very hard time choosing. And actually, there is a personality trait, so you should know your customers. And actually, Professor Barry Schwartz tested and conducted a research, And he found 2 different personality traits, maximizer and satisfizer. And I really, really hope for you guys that you are not the maximizer. You are about to know why. Who are the maximizer? The maximizer, who are the people who if they have a list of shop options, they will go through the list, review all the items one by one, and only after finish reviewing all the items, only then they can choose. But after choosing, they are not happy with their choices. They keep thinking about all the choices they didn't make. And these people, they're having very hard time living their life because for every option that they made, they keep thinking about all the options that they didn't. And this is actually have a negative effect on their happiness. And of course, we have the satisfizer. And who are the satisfizer? If they have a list of options, they will choose the first option that meets their criteria. And they will feel good about it and about themselves. So these are the people who are happily live their life. So if we are talking, we used to talk about a fear, we called it the FOMO, the fear of missing out. But now, these days, we are talking about a whole new fear. And actually, it is not a fear, it is an anxiety. And what is this anxiety? FOBO. Have you heard of FOBO? FOBO is the fear of better option. And actually, it's not only fear, it's terrifying people. Because instead of focusing in what they have, they keep focusing in what they don't have. And you should actually pay attention to how you offer your customers their options. Now, if we're talking about behavioral design, the first rule in behavioral design is to mind the gap. And we mentioned this gap. What is the gap? The gap between what people will tell you and how they really feel. So you shouldn't just ask people what they want. You need to be somewhat a psychologist in order to understand what they want. So I would like to give you an example of why it is so important to mind the gap and to understand what your customers really want. We are going to look at a video, very nice video, I really like it, about a woman who actually purchased a cheese, and the cheese cost her $40. And then, as she arrives home, she found out that there is a hair stuck to her cheese, and she gets really, really upset. And all the way back to the store, she keeps simulating how they are not going to return her money back. Let's see.
So I bought this cheese in your shop. It cost me... Okay, so I bought this cheese in your shop. It cost me $40, and when I got it home, there was a hair stuck to it. No, I don't have a receipt. Nevertheless, I would like my money back. Oh, really? Oh, really? You don't take cheese back, do you? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? I am going to go online, and I am going to write your unsanitary cheese shop a scathing review on Yelp. Boom! Mic drop. Ha! Ho. Hi.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's all good. It's just returning some cheese.
You sure? Do you need to call anybody?
Thank you, sir. That's very kind. So, I bought this cheese here. It cost me $40, and there is a hair stuck to it.
Oh, yeah, we can take that back.
Wait, what?
Here.
Wait, oh.
Okay. Take this. Your next purchase is on us. Did you want to fight?
Yes, please. I would like to have a little bit of a fight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where's your receipt?
I don't have a receipt.
I can't take it back without a receipt.
Oh, yeah? Well, the name of the store is stamped on the cheese, okay?
How do I know you didn't just beat up somebody and steal it?
Who does that?
You might.
Really?
Yeah, you look like the kind who might.
I am going to go on Yelp, and I am going to give this place a scathing review. Scathing. I'm going to blow up the internet. I'm going to break it.
Oh my God, you scared me so much. Please take our money. Leave the cheese.
Thank you. Thank you. Was that so hard? It's called customer service.
Fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you. That was
You're
really
so welcome. A lot of people really like that.
That's great, too.
See you again.
Bye.
Guys, it's called customer service. Pay attention. So actually, people are complicated. And believe me, I know. As a psychologist, I know. And not only they are complicated, if you want to win their business, you really need to understand their psychology. Let me give you another example of how complicated we are. Now, when I talk to salespeople on electricity shop, they told me, listen, people come to us and they told us, can you show me an espresso machine or a Dyson? And I mean, this has a completely different function. Each device has its own function, and still people don't think and they don't buy it for the function. They buy it as a status symbol. They buy it for recognition. So they can leave the store either with an espresso machine or with a Dyson, and they don't care about the functionality of these devices. So in order to understand people's psychology, we need actually to understand how they think, how they make decisions. And before I finish, I just want to show you a use case that I conducted. And I think that this use case is an amazing example of the gap between what people will tell you and how they really feel. And in this case study, you will see a research that we have conducted to a global medical aesthetic company. And this medical aesthetic company, actually, they didn't sell to the end user. They were selling to beauty salon and spa. And they came to me because they wanted to figure out a way how they can stand up from their competition. And before they show me how they actually market their message, and this was their ad campaign, mainly be the most attractive you can be. I'm sure you are familiar with these type of campaigns. But as we start talking to these people using our virtual interviewer, we're able to interview at least 500 people, actually 70% women. And after talking to these people, we understand that there is a new and emerging market that they didn't take into consideration. And I would like to show you their answers, and I think that you will figure out on your own. So there is the classic segment, and the classic segment is be the most attractive you can be. So we still have women that applied the classic segment. So they told us I can spend hours looking at myself in the mirror. I love my skincare routine. It makes me feel beautiful like a movie star. When I don't look my best, that puts me in a bad mood. So this is the classic segment. But they didn't take into consideration that there is a whole new and emerging segment. And what they told us, self-empowerment, I like to call this segment. Taking care of myself is a sign of empowerment. I don't look pretty for someone else, I look pretty for myself. I hate those women who care about how to impress men. So we see here a whole new emerging segment that is not getting our attention in our campaigns. And I like to call this segment, this old classic segment, the feminine. And these women invest in physical beauty to impress others. So looking good is part of their identity. But this new segment, I like to call him the feminist. And for them, investing in themselves is a sign of self-empowerment and has a positive impact on their well-being. So if we have new segments, we need to come up with different communication strategy. And if there is one thing that I would like you to take, in order to market and in order to sell to people, we need to understand their psychology, and then we can design the experiences, actually, that match their motivations and their emotion. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, of course, Ms. Liraz. So we have a few questions. We just have to do it in a speed round. Number one, is there any price limit to make an emotional purchase? We know that impulse purchases are up to 35 euros.
Okay, so not according to my data. So if we think about the Ferrari example, I think that the most expensive product is depend on how you actually design the experiences. And there is something that we need to understand about experiences. Experiences does not happen in the physical space. Experiences happen in our mental space. And here it is a game of how good we are at creating those experiences.
Sure. And also, I don't think that maybe how much money you have. For example, for somebody, 35 euros isn't much. For somebody's, you know, a small amount of money. So it depends.
Actually, I have to tell you that mostly people who don't have a lot of money, when we provide them the right experience, like the status symbol, they will purchase it.
You will sell anything. No, I'm joking. We have to wrap it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause.
Vote for me. Thank you.
Liraz.